Hello, my name is Luc Rotsaert. I am a technical professional in the Rational team in Belgium. In this video we are going to demonstrate how you could implement DevOps on the IBM Pure Application System.
And I'm Eric Cotoin, colleague of Luc, and we will start first with an introduction and an overview of how we set up this demo environment. Okay, for this demonstration we're going to use a simple application which is a GKA Enterprise banking application, which consists of a number of components. There is first of all a web component which will be packaged as a WAR file. There is also a server component which provides a number of REST-based services that are going to be used from the graphical user interface of the application to provide some backend data. And then there is also a database component which is for storing all the information, the backend data. In the deployment of this application, we're going to deploy the GKA WAR component on a WebSphere application server. It will be a Liberty profile running on the Pure App system. And then on that same physical virtual machine, we're gonna run also this server component, so that you will see we will deploy those two components on the same virtual image. The database will be a separate virtual machine, so there will be a DB2 virtual machine running DB2 on which we're gonna deploy the database component, and then the application can be used from within a web browser, so the user of the application will use the application through a web browser. So this is a simple but typical kind of application that you would find in many companies.
Okay, so this is how the development environment is set up. Everything what you see here in this slide is all set up on the Pure Application System. So we have a developer workstation, which is an instance that is created for every developer based on a RAD pattern. So for every developer we can make their own instance where the developer can then set up his workspace. Next to that, we have also set up a CLM server. So we have a dedicated machine with a CLM server with the RTC repository on there that we will use. We also have a dedicated build server, RTC standard build agent, and we also have a Urban Code server. So an Urban Code deploy server, where we have the application deployment processes running on there. Okay, so on the Urban Code deployment server we have created three environments. One dynamic environment and two stable environments. The dynamic environment is used for development purposes to test whether development changes were done correctly. So the environments are dynamically created and deleted. And there's one acceptance environment that is used for the acceptance in the acceptance phase, and there's one prod environment which is used for production purposes. So now I will explain the scenario of the demonstration. So so we talked about the GKA banking example. So what will happen is that the product owner of the GKA banking application will raise a new feature on top of it. So what he will do is open up RTC, and he will add a work item or create a work item that he will then assign to the developer. So, and then what the developer will do, he will log into his pre-created development or developer workstation, he will create a workspace, open up his RTC client, do the changes. Once he has done the changes, or she has done the changes, he or she will start up a personal build to verify if there were no compilation errors or something, and then so this will kick off a build on the build server. Once that is done, the builder will take over and do a proper build. So what the proper build will do is it will take, so a build will be kicked off, it will take the source code from RTC, compilation will be done, and then the artifacts that are produced will be pushed to Urban Code Deploy, will be put in Urban Code Deploy as new versions, and then what will happen is that dynamically a new development environment with the build ID tag that is the same one as the build ID in the RTC build will be provisioned. So there will be a provisioning of a new environment in Urban Code Deploy, which is based on a blueprint that we pre-made based on the iPaaS system, and that will create, so once the creation, so then the build, or the build will wait until the provisioning was done, and once that's there, the deployment of the applications will be executed. Okay, so once that's done, the developer or the end user can do a test. In this case, it will be a manual test. So he will test if the change that was done to the JKA banking application was done correctly. When he has done that, he will see that he can also push a button which will then automatically delete the environment and the resources on the iPaaS system. So that's the first thing that we will show, and then we will show you additional features in Urban Code Deploy, where we are going to move the so we are going to deploy the changes on the acceptance environment. Once that's done, we're going to verify it. When we have verified it, we will take a snapshot on there, and then we will move the snapshot to production and verify if that is done. So that's basically the demonstration, or the setup of the demo.
Okay, so now I'm gonna play the role of Bob, who is the product owner of our application. And the first thing we're gonna look at is how this application looks actually in real life. So I opened up the application on our production server, and we see here our application where you can log in and so on. And what we're going to do for the demonstration is we see that there is here a picture which is related to our marketing campaigns, and we decided that this picture needs to change. So the scenario of our demonstration will be a development change to the site, so that we have a new picture corresponding to our new campaign. To start the development, I'm now gonna enter a new change request. So we go to the team consort server, which is running on the iPaaS box, and I'm gonna log in as Bob.
And we open our project, so the Money That Matters project, and we can look at our dashboard and so on. But what is important now is I'm gonna create a new change request. So I'm creating a new task. Okay, and we're gonna assign this task to one of our developers. So the developer called Deb. We're gonna categorize this request, and then I can also fill in like a due date. So let's say that we want to have this develop this. And I'm gonna save this request. I can maybe also put the priority. This is a high priority, and then we can leave now our developer to evaluate this kind of work. To get our developer started, I'm now going to log in as an administrator on the Pure App console. So log in on the Pure App console. And then I'm gonna go to this workload console where we can control everything that is running on this machine. And in the patterns with the virtual systems, I'm gonna see that there I have one of the rational patterns, which is a pattern that is provided for as a development workstation client, which the developer will then be able to remotely access. And as you can see in the picture here, this environment contains the rational application developer, with all the necessary configurations and license keys, and also it contains the settings to connect to the rational team concert environment which the developer is going to use. So I can deploy such a pattern. Then I need to give this a unique name. And then I need to fill out a few parameters for the IPOS environment, so in which kind of part of the system this will be created, etc. And I can also configure some of the settings with regards to the rational team concert. Here there are already the default settings, and these are correct for our current environment, so I don't need to do anything. But for example, here you can specify what the URL is of the rational team concert instance that we're going to connect to, and what is the user ID that will typically be used. So once I've done those settings, I just click here on the OK button, which will now launch the creation of the workstation instance for Deb. And once that is done, Deb will be able to start developing. So after a while, this environment is created. So let's now check the status of this environment, and we can do that here in the instances virtual systems. I can filter my list. No, I have here the environment, so I see that this is currently running. So the developer can connect and start working. And just as an illustration, we can see that it took approximately 15 minutes between when we launched this pattern and the creation of the actual environment. So developer environments can be established really quickly on the iPaaS machine.
So now I'm logged in to to the Jazz server and to the project area. So Deb is now looking at the My Work view. So Deb views that there's a new task that is assigned to her, and what she is gonna do is double click it. So if you double click it, you can see all the details around this new task, and she sees that a new task has been assigned to her to modify the picture of the marketing campaign, and she decided to start working on it. So she changes the flow to go to in progress. So what she's also does is she sets the current work item as the current one, as all the changes that all the sources that she will change will automatically be attached to this task. She's also gonna change the plan for date, so to the current iteration, so that will move the work item to the to be a current as the current work. What I'm gonna do next is work on this task. So to be able to modify any files, I need to load my workspace. Therefore, I will go to my Deb MTM workspace and click on load, so that all the files staying on the server will now be copied locally, so in order that I can change them. After that's done, I will switch perspective, go to my Java EE perspective, go to the files that need to be changed. So in this case, we're just gonna modify the names of two images. So we have the new one. So now I'm not gonna do it like this. I will cancel this one. So what I'm gonna do is change the name of the original one and give it underscore oric in the name, and the underscore 21 I will rename it, so that's the new picture we want to put in. So we're gonna rename this one to be GKE auto launch. Okay, so when the file changes are done, I will now go to my pending changes view and see that there are two file changes which I will now check in so as a new change set. Okay, after that's done, I will go back to my work item perspective and do a personal build in order to see that all the file changes I've done, that they are properly compiled. So I click to my build definition, right click it, go to personal build, choose my repository workspace and click submit. So now when launching the build, I can go to the build view and there I can see the evolution of the build going on. So if I click on the latest build, if I click refresh, it should not take too long. Alright. And I see that the build has successfully compiled and completed. So now that my personal build has been completed successfully, I will now go back to my pending changes view where I still have outgoing changes. So what I'm gonna do now is deliver the changes that are still in my local, in my repository workspace, Dep's repository workspace. I'm gonna deliver them so that they end up in the Money That Matters main development stream. So what will happen now? So this build that has been kicked off will do the compilation. The artifacts will be pushed to Urban Code deploy. A new environment will be set up on the iPaaS system, so automatically a new application server will be provisioned and a database server will be provisioned, both based on a pattern. When that's done, the Urban Code deploy will take over and do the deployment of the artifacts that have been built here, all automatically with this button. At the end, so we gonna wait, so the provisioning of the environments will take around 15 minutes, or we will see how long it takes, but we come back after the environment have been provisioned and we're gonna see further then. Okay, so now we come back and we see that the build has successfully completed. When we double click on it, we see more information regarding the build result, and we see that there are no errors and that the build took 37 minutes. So now let's have a look on what it has done on the Urban Code deploy server. So when we go there, we can see that we have here an application called JKE, and that it has created a new environment. So if we go back to the label of the RTC build, we can see that the label is 2014-06-20, 1218. If we go there, we can see, if we go to the environment in Urban Code Deploy, we can see that the same an environment with the same label name has been created automatically. This was part of this build process. If we open this environment, we can see that there are 4 components: a war file, a war component, a DB component, a server component, and there's one additional one, which is actually a special one to remove the environment afterwards. So we can see that the deployment to the war DB and server components were successfully. Let's also have a look on the pure app system, where we have where there was automatically created a new new environments based on the pattern. So if we look for JKE, we can see that a virtual system instance was created with the same label name also. And we can see here some more information that the actual time it took from 221 to 2:43, so it took around 22 minutes to create those machines, those virtual machines. So let's also now have a look at the deployed application. So there should be an external link here, where we have a link to the deployed application for the JK Bank. And what we can see here is that the new picture has been successfully deployed to the JK website. So as a developer, I have checked that my code changes were successfully implemented. So I can see that the picture in the JK banking website has now changed. I can do all kinds of other tests, and after my tests are finished, I can go to the process. So I can go back to my build result, where I can see that there is a link that will connect me to the Urban Code deploy server, where I can see the application process requests directly. So what I can do here is so I can say that so I suppose that my tests were successfully, and here I have a button where I can say that I want to delete the environment again. So when I click on approve and click submit, this will instantiate the removal of this environment. So when we click on the pure application system and click on refresh, we can see that the deletion of this virtual system has been instantiated. Also, automatically, the environment in Urban Code Deploy will be automatically removed, and it will also clean up all the necessary resources. And then the last thing to do as a developer, I can say I can say, okay, my changes were successfully. I go back to my work item, which is down here, and I can just click on stop working and click save.
Now that the tests on the development environment have successfully completed, I will now log into Urban Code Deploy as being the system integrator, and I will then be able to deploy these new versions on the acceptation system, where then people can perform their tests. So if I go here to the applications, I see the GKA application, and we now see that there is only 2 environments left, as the dev environment which was dynamically created during our test has been cleaned up again. I can now deploy to the acceptation environment, but let's first check its current state. So if I switch to another tab and then I go to the acceptation environment, we see the picture, the old picture is still there, and hopefully when we push this new version, we should see that change also on the acceptance environment. To deploy to the acceptance environment, I click on this button here, and I'm gonna select the versions to deploy, and basically I can state that I want the latest versions to be deployed. So I'm gonna select those. Okay, and so it tells me there is 4 new versions of different components, and when I submit this, it will perform the deployment for me, so we can now see its progress, and after a while things will be deployed. So after a while, this deployment is finished, and we can take a look at all the things that have happened. So we see that the various kind of components have successfully been deployed. And then one difference with the development environments is that we see that the number of steps from the process are not executed, and this is due to how we configure this process, because in this case we have statically created environments which we don't want to delete, so we don't want to see this step of deletion being executed, and this in comparison with the development environment. If we want to look at the process, so if I click here, we see the actual process that is being executed. So we see that it will install the various components, and that then there is a decision point which will figure out whether we are in a development and as such dynamic environment, which will be deleted after all the tests have been executed and the developer approves that the environment can go. In the case of the acceptance and production environments, that those steps are not executed, and the application components are only deployed to the existing environment. So now we would execute a number of tests on our acceptance environment. We could launch our team of testers and they could perform their job. If I click now on the acceptance environment and I refresh, and as you can see now, the new version of the application has become active, and we nicely have the new image for the marketing campaign on the page. So if I now go back to my Urban Code deploy, so if I return back to the Urban Code deploy, I can now see what happened on the acceptance environment. So we can see that those different steps have been executed and the components have been deployed. What you would typically then do is create a snapshot. So I'm now going to do that, and that snapshot will then be used to push the application through to the production environment. So I can give this snapshot a name, and that can be all kinds of names like you want. Typically, you could, for example, use some kind of timestamp or version name, etc. You can give a description. Okay. So now the snapshot has been created, and now I'm ready to push this version to the production environment. So in this case, I again click on the deploy operation. I can now run the deploy process on the production environment, and as you can see, this still requires an approval. This is due to the fact that we don't want just anybody to randomly deploy, obviously, on our production environment. So we put an approval on it, and you need the required kind of permission to be able to do this. So I can now, as I have this permission, I can approve the deployment. And then the deployment will happen also on the production environment. After some time, the deployment to the production environment is complete. We can see this in the various statuses here. We see that it has successfully passed, and now, just like on the acceptance, I can see that the application has changed, and that we have the new picture on the site. And that brings us to the end of this demonstration. So important to understand is that we worked out this complete scenario on the iPass box. So everything was running on this same iPass machine. Both our code repository, which was sitting in RTC, the developer workstation, which was remotely accessed by the developer, the urban code deploy engine, as well as all the runtime environments, both for the development, which were dynamic environments, as well as the static environments, acceptance and production. And obviously, this was only a demonstration scenario. You could do a setup as required by your situation.